I first bought my motorcycle and started riding, I only rode it on the weekends. Usually on Sunday mornings, I would take it out for the sole purpose of experiencing a ride. We lived in Utah, so there were lots of mountain roads and canyon roads to choose from. I had no destination, no time limit. I just rode until I was done riding. As the weather turned warmer, I felt like this wasn't enough. Also, I had made a few mistakes on the roads that got me into some kind of dangerous situations. I wanted to be a better rider. I wanted to ride more. I longed for the smell of the inside of my helmet and the feel of the gas tank between my knees. But I only had one weekend per week. When else would I ride? Taking a motorcycle to run errands during the week doesn't make sense, right? My main weekday errand was going to the sauna a few times a week. I would usually get dressed in my sauna clothes at home and then hop in the car and drive to the gym. Making that trip with a motorcycle would be far more complicated. I would need to bring my sauna clothes with me in a backpack. I'd have to change in the locker room. I'd have to wear my riding gear to the gym and bring a lock for the locker. I'd have to undress out of my gear and into my sauna clothes and then do the whole thing in reverse once I was done. Not to mention getting my gear all sweaty after the sauna. And what would I do with my helmet? All that would add like 15 or 20 minutes of overhead to the whole trip. And that's 15 or 20 minutes later I'd have to work. And that's 15 or 20 minutes less free time I would have that evening. And my free time in the evenings was so precious. So after considering it, I decided against it. I continued taking the car. But the next time I went to the sauna, I walked out into the parking lot after my sit, and I looked at the car, and I honestly thought, I wish that was my motorcycle. Riding a motorcycle is, after all, a great deal more fun than driving a car. At that point, I said, screw it, I'll take the overhead. I want to ride. So I did. 2 or 3 times a week, I geared up, packed my backpack, and rode to the gym. I wore my swim trunks under my riding pants, which felt weird. I put on socks and boots in the summer. I put on a belt. I got my jacket, my helmet, my gloves, a backpack with a lock, and a water bottle. And all that added 10 or 15 minutes on both sides of my trip, easily. And I didn't care. In fact, I came to love the process. I loved the way my riding pants felt. I loved the smell of leather and whatever other synthetic fabrics get put into helmets and gloves. I loved starting my bike and putting on my helmet while it warmed up. I loved the feeling of feeding my glasses into my helmet and having them fit into my ears just right. I loved pulling out of my apartment's parking lot. All the regular stuff that makes riding fun. Choosing to ride instead of drive made the trip a little adventure. When you ride, you focus. The journey and the destination are both part of the outing. You feel like a human being moving across the terrain of your town. When you take a car, you get into a small room with a steering wheel and you wish the trip away or spin it inside your head. That's what I do anyways. So, when it's warm enough, when I feel good, when the weather permits, I try to ride instead of drive. Since I started being willing to ride, I ride more. I'm a better rider. I'm a safer rider. And maybe I'm happier. Now, I didn't enjoy this ride that you're seeing a whole lot. When I was in Utah, everything was really nearby. My ride to the gym was hardly 5 minutes on roads with speed limits under 40. This ride to my doctor's office was 20 minutes down a highway with a limit of 55. And that's just how my town is organized in Alabama now. It was trafficy, cars were going fast around me. And honestly, I only really like going fast in little bursts, which is teaching me something new that I'm still very much in the process of learning. That sometimes if you ride, you shouldn't take the most efficient path. That's the one you would take in your car, because the most efficient path is going to be the most traveled, and it's probably going to be the fastest. And that might not be my vibe. But to choose to go slower when you could go faster, that's hard for me to compute still. But I want to get there.